All of the praise and glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh Bashmiel Shai, Bashim Rakak Wadash, and double honors to the elder apostles of the great millstone that have taught me this truth, and to include the elder bishops on down as well, Yahweh Bashmiel Shai Brakatham. And I just want to give my little view on this video over here, as this reads: could Donald Trump's tariffs destroy globalization? Right? And it remains to be seen how far this is going to go. Right now, China has posed tariffs against America by 84%. Against America is 104%. So now you have this tick for tack for tick. And this is going to cause some problems, especially in America. Because, of course, people have businesses that they own and they sell goods, and most of their goods is coming from China. Everything comes from China. China is the world's sweatshop, without being disrespectful. But it's just what it is. So all of this is just going to ruffle the feathers of the American people, and it's going to have some effect on the Chinese as well. All right. Right now, America is already going through its woes. A lot of people are struggling to make ends meet, and you got people that are just trying to hustle, man, and keep their head above water. But then you got this situation going on. So, you know, the world is becoming more crazy, and this is what we want. This is something that we are desiring of right now. You know, this is something that we've always wanted to see, is the downfall of this civilization. See, we want the same thing that the powers that be want, but you see, we're just on a different side of the fence, and we know truthfully where this is all going to go. You know, and so without further ado, I want to play this video, and I want to say what I got to say, and we're going to move forward in regards to what this guy from London is going to be speaking about in regards to globalization.
View of what the term actually means before we continue talking about it.
Sure. Yeah. No. I don't agree with the idea.
I want to bring it back over here. Let's start it from over here. I think it's 7 minutes and 22 seconds in.
Chris, I've seen some experts saying that China may consider a full decoupling from the United States. Is that a possibility? And can tariffs go any higher? Does it make any sense if they go any higher, or will all trade just stop?
Well, I mean, what's happened already doesn't make any sense from an economic point of view. A full-blown trade war, the scale of tariffs that we've seen, all of which...
And just to address what he just said, he said it doesn't make sense, which it doesn't make sense. But when you really analyze, and I think I've said this before, and I'll just say it again just in case I did it on my last video, right? The only way you can make sense of this stuff is to know the truth. And I don't think this guy knows the truth. The truth of the matter is that there's an agenda at large that the higher powers want to fulfill, and that is to bring an end to this old world system. That is a part of the reason why they're doing this. All right.
Risk a global recession, if it continues along this path. And in terms of decoupling, well, I guess it's the question you raised earlier about globalization. Is globalization now over? First of all, bear in mind that globalization as a concept has been kind of at least being questioned since COVID, since 2020. We had massive, of course, global trade disruptions in 2020 because of COVID, and the whole idea or concept of globalization was questioned then.
Okay, let me interrupt you quickly, Chris, if I may, because we're talking about globalization, and I've seen lots of different definitions of what globalization means, because some define it as going way beyond trade, the increasing connectedness of world cultures and economy. What's your view of what the term actually means before we continue talking about it?
Sure. Yeah. No, I don't agree with the idea of expanding it beyond industry and trade. As you say, I think that's a lot of people have jumped on the bandwagon talking about cultural exchanges, etc. I think that's a step too far. But globalization, as we're now talking about, means kind of free global trade. It means that you can make a product in any country in the world and sell it to any other country. It means that parts of a particular product are made in some countries, are brought together and assembled in another country and then sold around the world. So it's that free movement of components, of products, of people, of capital. That's, I suppose, the definition of globalization. And that has been under serious threat since COVID, and it's now under massive threat because of what's happening because of U.S. tariffs. We are...
Yeah, so now let's move forward. And we're going to read not Donald Trump. What's the guy's name? Ronald Reagan. Now, Ronald Reagan made a statement against tariffs. And he makes a decent point. China shares Ronald Reagan's 1987 video on tariffs in response to U.S. watch. China pulled up an old video of former U.S. President Ronald Reagan speaking against tariffs and their adverse effects to criticize the reciprocal tariffs announced by the current U.S. President Donald Trump. In a video that dated back to 1987, Reagan is heard saying that while imposing tariffs on foreign imports may seem like an act of patriotism and might work at first, it is inevitable, leads to retaliation by foreign countries and could trigger fair trade war. If I didn't say it, I'll say it again. There's this tit for tat thing going on between China and America. America posed a tariff of 104%, and 84% was posed against America. So again, this is gonna very well upset the economy, depending on how far they're willing to go with this. Again, we just have to wait and see. But one thing is for sure, what we do know is that there's an agenda, and the agenda is to destroy what they have already and bring it in the new system. Now, what I want to do is I want to briefly talk about this over here as what was declared. Donald Trump was side by side with Klaus Schwab, and we know Klaus Schwab has announced a while back ago in his own way of saying the New World Order, newly calling it the Great Reset. So these politicians, at times you will see them say that they're against this and they're against that and they're against this man and this person, but in all reality, they're for them, as well as what Esau always does. He'll say one thing and then do another, because they're here to deceive. They're here to lead you to the highway of hell. And that's really what their role on earth is to bring you to destruction and to bring everything which has life to it. All right? So they may act like they have differences of opinions to you, which is just for show. But in all reality, they're in the same room together, sharing the same common goal. All right? And I've said it twice already what that common goal is. So now I want to read this scripture over here. This is 1 John chapter 2 and verse 20. But ye have an unction from the Holy One, and ye know all things, absolutely. Once you know Yahweh Shai, you know everything. All right? You know the prophecy. You're able to read spirits. You're able to break the scriptures down correctly. And you're able to do justice unto yourself and as unto others. All right? And that's the benefit of knowing Yahweh Shai, which is this truth. You know all, and it's for the benefit. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 9. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. And here's the point, which is in verse 10, with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish. So they're deceived into doing unrighteousness, because they have received not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. For this cause the Most High shall send them strong delusions, that they should believe a lie, and that they all might be damned who believe not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. And as well as is written in scripture, that the Most High is not in all of his thoughts. So of course he would be against the truth. So therefore the Lord has allowed him to be furthermore disillusioned by the lies that he's put before them, to fulfilling his agenda, as it is written that the counsel of the Lord, that shall stand. All right. There be many devices in a man's heart, but the counsel of the Lord, that shall stand. And one of the things that Esau is going to do finally is to administer that mark. Make it mandatory, and the rest will follow. We're going to see Jacob's trouble. We're going to see the nuclear destruction and the return of the Messiah. All right. Or they both are going to come pretty much damn near at the same time, because we need to be delivered and saved quickly. As it is written in the book of 1 Peter 4:17, that the righteous shall scarcely be saved. Job 5:13, he taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the froward is carried headlong. So the Lord is going to lead them into making certain moves, and one of those moves are going to be the wrong moves, and they're going to lose control. And that's when you panic. When you panic, it's because you don't have no control. Something bad is about to happen, and is inevitable at this point. All right. So that's all there is to it. I don't really have to make a long, lengthy video. In this case, I just wanted to just respond to this video and keep it short. And the water Yahweh Shemel Shai for allowing me to do a lesson today, which is to edify you, man. So with that, I want to give all of the praise and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakag Wadash. And with that, I'm out. Shalom.